Hello, everyone. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to the very first episode of our brand new series, The Ultimate Guide to USD, where today we'll be counting down until December 15th, USD's application deadline. My name is Madonna. I'm a current senior at USD studying marketing and business analytics, and I'm from Valencia, California. Within undergraduate admissions, I am an intern and a tour guide. Today, I'm super excited to have the honor and pleasure to talk with several different USD students about their college experiences, from applying to colleges to finding their home at USD and everything else in between. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on today. We are so lucky to have all of these students featured, and to start off, we're going to give a little introduction unto everyone here.
Hello, my name is Dakota Gates, and I'm a sophomore at USD studying integrated engineering with a concentration in business admin. And my hometown is Los Angeles, California, where I currently am. And some of my involvements at USD are I'm in Alpha Delta Pi sorority, I'm a part of student ambassadors, and through that, Torero tour guides, and Less Than Three Hip Hop Club.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tony. I'm a third year here at USD. I'm originally from Santa Clara, California, it's just south of San Francisco in the Bay Area. I am an accounting and business economics double major. On campus, I am part of the honors program, student in National Business Council, the Delta Sigma Pi Professional Business Fraternity, and through the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, I am a campus tour guide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Harrison Mello. I am a senior here at USD, majoring in mechanical engineering and minoring in mathematics. I'm originally from Camarillo, California, and I'm involved in a multitude of things on USD's campus. I'm involved with Torero tour guides, as well as student ambassadors, as well as I'm part of the honors program, as well as part of men's club water polo and club swimming, as well as I'm part of the interfraternity council, as well as part of Pi Kappa Phi.
Hi, my name is David Alvarez. I'm a junior at USD. I'm a bio major with a double minor in chemistry and business administration on a pre-vet track. I'm the vice president of SOAR, but I'm also on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu team for USD. And my hometown is Oceanside, which is a couple miles north of San Diego.
Hi, my name is Elena. I'm a senior at USD. I'm studying behavioral neuroscience, minoring in biomedical ethics, and I'm also on the pre-med track as well. I'm from Austin, Texas. And then a little brief rundown of what I'm involved in at USD. I'm a Torero tour guide. I'm president of out-of-state ambassadors, and then I'm also on e-board for our USD swing dancing club.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zoe. I am a senior at USD, and I'm studying marketing and communications studies. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I have been involved in so many things in my 4 years at USD. I'm a tour guide. I've been in a sorority, Gamma Phi Beta. I've also been involved in Cool Kids Club, American Marketing Association, and the Student Finance Association as well.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So, to get started, we are super close to our December 15th application deadline on Tuesday, which is super exciting, and hopefully a lot of students watching this will be able to take a lot from all of you. And so when you were exploring colleges, if you go back, we're all kind of different years at USD now. But to look back, what resources did you use to get a good look at the different schools you were considering?
It's definitely pretty fresh in my mind since I'm only a sophomore. I used a lot of different ways to research about schools. I loved going on YouTube and watching students just like outside of school, their vlogs, just wanting to know like what they would do on a day-to-day and what they really wanted to share and like put out there. But on top of that, I love to reach out to people at schools, like whether it be the engineering department, since I'm an engineering major, and just really hearing from them, whether that be a list of questions in an email. For me, since I was only looking for schools in California, physically going to the schools, those were definitely all things I did.
I did most students do it, but it was a long time ago as a senior, but we did like the family road trip, quote unquote. So that road trip was mostly like we went on vacation, but also at the same time we visited colleges. So I visited colleges up and down the California coastline, but then also when we went over east, we visited colleges in Florida, Georgia. We went to New York. We saw different colleges there as well. So having that, because personally for me, I found it like going and seeing colleges is like kind of putting you into that role play right now. But also I use virtual tours as well. So going online, most college campuses have like a virtual tour so that you don't have to physically travel to that certain location if you're not fortunate enough to go to that to the actual college itself. But you can actually go and like visit, see what it looks like, and they also have just like fun facts around it too, so you can get to know the college a little bit more.
My experience is similar to Harrison's. I'm the third child in my family, so the third one to go to college. So my other siblings would go on trips too, and my mom would be like, okay, you can just go with them. So I'd go with them to colleges and visit when I was younger, and then I did it myself when I was in high school. And then at the same time, I went to my college and career center on my high school campus to talk to my counselor, and they had a lot of resources there that I could use to look at, set up tours and everything for other campuses.
Awesome. Those are all really great resources as well. So, in kind of going off of that, how did you prepare and strategize during the application process? I know for a lot of people it's super stressful, and if you're me, you wait to the last minute to do all of them. So, how did you guys kind of organize all of your information or separate and break everything down so you're not waiting to the last minute if you're on top of it, unlike me? How did you kind of go about doing all of that?
And something that was really useful for me was when you have to write that long essay about yourself, and you're like, cool, I have a goal in mind. I'm hoping it comes across the way I want it to, because a bunch of strangers are about to read all about my life in this little essay I write. And so I got some different people in my life, some teachers, some people I was friends with but not super close with, and got them to read through it and then report back to me what they thought I was trying to get across in that essay. So that helped me formulate it all better. But yeah, that one definitely requires you to jump in on top of that a little bit early, but I was in the same boat as you, Madonna, with everything else, super last minute, but that was super helpful for me.
For me, I tried to keep it super organized. So I remember having, I kind of remember having like a spreadsheet with like all the colleges I was applying to, and was it a common app? Was it out of state? Was it like a UC or whatever? Because there's all the different ones in California. So now I remember I would like systematically go college by college and try to do as much as I can the summer before, because I knew when senior year started for high school, I really wouldn't want to do anything. And similar to Elena, I would do my best to make sure I would get all my essays peer revised and stuff like that, because it is a lot. And I try to do my best to not keep it too last minute.
I feel like remembering like the applying and the strategy process of it is so long ago. It's like 4 years ago for us seniors. But I just remember having this really strict plan so I would keep myself motivated because, with everything going on with senior year, it's like the last thing that you're really wanting to do essentially, like writing all the essays and everything like that. But I definitely made a spreadsheet, and my dad made me code it to where it would tell me my percentage of chance of getting in. And then we would rank it. Like we'd have two, your top choice, like reach schools, some schools in between, and then some schools that you're pretty sure you're going to get into, and then go from there. And I remember doing the Common App first and doing that really big essay that is super important. And almost every school asks you that personal statement. And then being able to go into that spreadsheet and see, are there additional, essays that I have to do, different prompts, and from there do that. So I got the Common Apps done first, and then I went to the external interviews. Not interviews, applications.
I did the same thing with like the Excel sheet, but one year, like when I was 12, this girl at my dance studio told me you should start building a resume right now, not necessarily as a resume for school or for work, but later on when you are filling out applications, this will really help you remember all the things that you've done. So I highly recommend doing that. That really helped me keep track of all of my accomplishments, activities, just the extracurriculars. So yeah, besides all that, I highly recommend doing that.
Awesome. So again, looking back for us seniors really far back, um, what were you kind of looking for in different schools? What kind of characteristics were you noticing in different schools or and exploring that you kind of knew that you wanted to have in your future school?
I know looking back, being 17, 18, applying to colleges, my first thought was, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I have no idea. And that was something that really played a role into where I ultimately ended up going to college, USD, um, was because I needed like a college that would allow me to explore a lot of these interests that I had in different fields in order to be able to really decide what I wanted to do, and that school needed to have those resources available to me. And so that's why I was kind of looking towards more liberal arts focused schools, just because I wanted a really well-rounded education. I didn't really want to just jump into my business major, not really sure if that was what I wanted to do. And it was honestly super helpful that that characteristic was one of the main things, because I was able to explore public speaking and communications. And that was something I didn't even think of and is now a part of my major. So I was definitely looking for a school that would allow me to kind of explore that opportunity in a little bit of a smaller environment.
I was the same way as Zoe. It was really important for me because I've always had so many interests. Like in high school, I was that kid who was involved in clubs across the board because everything was fun to me. And so being able to venture outside of my major was really important. So I love that. Even though I'm a behavioral neuroscience major, I've taken classes in English and history and photography and all sorts of fun topics. But I remember one thing that was also important to me when I was looking for schools was the school size. I graduated in a class of 47 seniors, and so I thought I needed a super big school for it to feel really big. So I was looking at state schools for a long time, realized that was too big for me. USD is the perfect size. So just be open too to that changing, because that definitely changed for me.
For me, I just wanted to make sure that I found like a campus that I really liked. And we'll definitely talk about this later on, but for me, it was such an important thing that I wanted to find a college that I looked outside and I was like, wow, this is really nice and I really want to be here. And so like USC's campus is definitely one of those places. Like I said, we'll definitely touch on it, but I remember first going online and looking at the pictures, I'm like, this can't be real. And then the first time I toured, I was like, oh shoot, it is real. So for me, like campus was one of the really big parts of it.
For me, all of that was very important, but also the sense of community on campus was something that I didn't feel anywhere else. Hands down, definitely from the second I stepped foot on campus, it was the most welcoming, the most genuine. Just walking around, I came to tour twice, and both times professors would be walking around talking to students, and I just really didn't expect that at any school because I don't know about in your experiences, but in mine, high school, everyone was like, you have nothing to do with the professors in college and you're just a number, but that's definitely not how it is at USD now, also like having been there, but you sense that sense of community immediately.
I love everything that you all said. So, what's something now, some advice maybe that you have looking back that you learned in the application process and when you were exploring and applying to different schools? What's something that you wish you knew and that you would tell others that are going through this process right now?
Because a lot of people tend to apply to a lot of different colleges and universities. Try your best to give each one the equal amount of importance to actually give each one a chance. Because for me, USD was actually like the bottom of my list. I really didn't put much effort into researching the school. I kind of went through the motions and it really snuck up on me. And you really never know what that school is going to be unless you give it the chance and actually put in the work to kind of see, is this a place that you want to be? And the school will give everything back to you, which I think is really important.
I would definitely say now being a senior, and I'm sure all the seniors really agree with me, something that you really need to look out for is that career development aspect. And when I was a senior, I did not care about the career development center. I was like, is it pretty? Will I make friends? Will I have fun? Am I going to succeed in my classes? Like that was really what I was looking for. But now being a senior and going through this, transitional stage in our life where we have to get a job, we need internships, that sort of thing, I definitely um would suggest looking at those opportunities. What kind of programs do they have? What research opportunities are available, things that are going to boost your resume, and alumni contacts that are going to help you really secure that job after college is something that I really suggest you look at, because I didn't. And thank God USD is so amazing at that. But that was definitely something I would look at as well. And don't be afraid to reach out to people. I know coming from the East Coast, I knew no one. Like, no one from my high school really left the East Coast. So I was one of the first kids that really went to California for college. And I didn't know anybody going through the similar experience. Reach out to people, reach out to the counselors, reach out to students. They're really, really helpful. And I would definitely suggest that. And I wish I knew that going forward.
I love that too, because looking back, I think about that as well. I remember sitting on campus actually. I think this was my sophomore year, maybe, and this girl came to campus and she was just kind of walking around. She took a tour and then she went into Aromas, which is our cafe on campus. And she came up to me and my friend and she was like, "Hey, do you like going to USD?" Just like bluntly just outrightly, she's like, I'm applying to USD, I'm applying to a lot of other schools, like I need to know if I'll fit in here, and I need help like picking which school. And I thought that was, first of all, so sweet that she just felt comfortable coming up to us, just like studying in Aromas. And looking back, I wish I did that more when I was on campus too, talking to different students, because it's so important to see yourself, envision yourself actually on campus. Like, is this my speed? Is this my scene? Will I feel welcome on campus? And like, I'm already a student, even though I'm not yet. So I thought that was really cool. And I agree completely, Zoe, that is a big thing. That's so important. And we have a lot of resources now, like our Torero Ambassador Network that everyone can utilize in reaching out to students. So I think that is great advice as well. So kind of shifting gears, and now as we all have landed on USD and committed, what was it like, if you remember your first experience on USD's campus? Was it before you applied? Was it, because I know a lot of students as well hadn't visited USD, they only saw it in videos or pictures, so their first experience was like moving in. So what was your experience there?
I actually didn't even visit campus until after I got admitted. And we ended up coming out to visit campus, and I was fortunate enough to stay for like an overnight visit with a current USD student. And my mom and our little sister flew out as well, like made it a little road trip to check out San Diego and everything. And I remember it was literally like Tony said, it was like out of a movie. We drove up on like a Thursday afternoon. It was during our Torero hours. So people were walking out and about. The sun was in the perfect position. There were people with surfboards walking by. I was like, okay, this is an actual movie set. This isn't University of San Diego. What is this? But then also another thing that stood out to me was how interactive everyone was. They were talking to each other. They weren't just looking at their phone, walking from one place to the next. They were talking to each other. They looked like they were having fun. And for me, it was the first campus that I had set foot on where I was like, this is it. This is going to be my home for the next 4 years. And I hadn't even talked to anybody yet. I was just driving onto campus. But yeah, it's definitely a very surreal moment.
I definitely agree. I don't think I realized how much environment would affect me, even though I did When I first came to campus, I thought it was beautiful and I immediately felt so calm, which is so important when you're like constantly stressed out with school and work. And that's definitely something that immediately attracted me to USD, but also being there, it makes such a difference just grabbing a coffee from Aromas and going to sit outside by the fountain. It is so serene. And I just think that's an experience that day to day like really made my day.
I feel like also like when I first stepped onto campus, I had this like gut feeling, just like you feel like gut at like you feel like you're just at home, like you could relax down, you can talk to people. And when I first stepped on, I did like an honors overnight as well, and it was kind of this like weird feeling, like you get welcome in, you get to shadow a student the entire day, and then you get to do like activities with USD students, and you get to enjoy the night, and you get to see what USD is about outside of just like class, like outside of like your parents around you, right? You're actually living through campus. And through that experience, I kind of like gained this like, this is where I could see myself. I could live here. I lived in Camino my first year. For those people who do not know Camino, it's one of our dorms here on campus. But it's kind of like living through that scenario where you could see yourself. Like you're not like, this is a movie set, you're living in the movie. Like you're there, like you can actually do stuff. And I feel like when I first came to USD, it was just like, wow, like I could see myself walking up and down this campus.
Yeah, my first experience, I was a senior in high school. It was January. So it was actually intersession when I visited. So there was actually no one on campus besides a couple intersession kids. And I remember walking on campus and I was like, are you kidding me? I love it. And I need to go as far away from home as possible. Like 3,000 miles away was not in my plan. It was the only college in California that I applied to. And I walked on campus and I was like, yeah, I need to go here. Can't wait to break the news to my parents. I'm moving to California because it was like one of the first places that I wasn't nervous visiting. And I didn't really understand it at the time because all these other colleges, I was really excited to visit them, but I was nervous. But when I went to USD, I was like, wow, I felt at ease. And that was what I wanted to feel like. I wanted to feel like I could fit in, I could meet people, I could really excel in this space. And I remember my dad calling my mom and being like, I think she found her school. And I found that out 2 years ago when we were talking about it over Christmas. And I think you can just tell inside when you're just like, I feel I feel good here. I think that's the overall feeling that I felt.
I think similar to like what Harrison mentioned and same with Zoe, that I definitely had that like gut experience. I was like, oh shoot, like this is the place. Because like Elena too, I didn't tour USD until after I was admitted. And it was also in like that April period where you have like that May 1st deadline. So like I was like a stressed out senior in high school, having no clue what to do with my life, with college and everything. And I remember I was telling some people I was going to USD like to tour. They're like, "Oh, like I hear there are fountains everywhere, and I hear that there's like the grass is so green that it's probably spray painted." I was like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And like now, like there are fountains everywhere. The grass is unnaturally green. I know some tour guides have gotten questions about the type of grass, and I mean, I have no clue. But USD really lives up to the hype in terms of campus, and especially with finding pockets of to study, to hang out. You'll find people taking naps on campus, which most for some people I would think is impossible because people are always walking back and forth and talking. But some people just love campus so much that they can find places to relax. And especially as a first year student, when you're living on campus, you are almost always on campus. I wanted to make sure, like Harrison, I was living in Camino, and it was really nice to actually, wake up and actually feel happy that I was on campus and that I wasn't, and I was also close enough to the beach too. That's a really big plus about USC campus.
I love all those different special moments and when everyone knew that this was their place, which again we'll talk about a little later as well. Um, but why did you all ultimately choose USD? We talked a little bit about this and the characteristics you saw when you were looking for schools. But what was the final deciding factor that you were like, yes, I'm coming? I know, Zoe, you talked about this. You're like, I'm moving across the country and going. So what was that kind of moment or experience like?
For me, it was, I cried. That's so embarrassing, but I really did because I had just been so stressed. And like when I went home, I didn't commit to USD until a week before the deadline, even though I like felt like I really needed to go there. I was waiting on a couple other schools that, I had put higher on my list, I guess, before. But then when I finally sat down to tell my family, I was crying. I was like, I'm going to USD. Like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, like we want you to go here. And I was like, yes. It was really exciting. And I was so excited to go to college. I don't think I was really ready to leave high school yet. I had a really great high school experience. But I think when I ultimately decided and told my family that I was going to USD, I was ready. I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to meet great, awesome new people. I'm ready to go explore another place in the United States outside of Pennsylvania. So I ultimately was really excited, but less stressed out, which is weird. When you think about going to college, you feel like you're stressed, but I felt at ease, but excited at the same time.
Yeah, for me, it was that gut feeling definitely played into it. But like Zoe, even though I was pretty certain I was going to be at USC, I waited until like the absolute last minute to put in everything. So I always joke I was the last person in our year to commit to USC. Um, but for me too, it was also when I was on campus, I talked to a bunch of different students in different majors, minors, like even things I wasn't really considering at the time, just to figure out how they got to where they were at USD and what they were feeling about everything and how their college experience was going so far. And that was the first time that everybody I talked to, I either had an instant connection with, or they were someone I could see myself wanting to call a friend in the future. And I'd done that at other campuses and just hadn't gotten that same community feeling like Dakota was talking about earlier. And so for me, I think that was ultimately, it was like, I already feel like I have a place here. And then I lived in Founders, which was right across the way from Camino. So it was also great to just, I talked to people who were in Founders and things like that. So it was cool to just then be on campus a few months later and getting to do the same for now prospective students is super fun as well.
I kind of had a crazy experience. USD has this day where all the admitted students are welcome to come, and they have all of the different academic departments having presentations, as well as every aspect of the school. And my mom had never seen USD. I went with my dad the time before, and my dad and I fell in love with the school. But because private school cost always looks like a really big number, I was very hesitant. And my mom, for me, I was between USD and another school, and my mom was gung-ho about the other school. And we normally always have the same opinion on everything. So I was really nervous because deep down I really knew like USD was where I was supposed to end up. But I had verbalized some things with her right before we went to like the admitted students day. And when we got on campus, it was crazy. Every single presentation or tour we attended, they said word for word what I was like wanting out of a school, all the way to study abroad, exactly where I wanted to study, like Florence or New Zealand. They said it. It was so, so crazy that even my mom was like, okay, like maybe this is the place for you. So I just really think like it's important to stick with your gut and just really listen to the things that you're looking for, whether it's like writing it on a piece of paper, saying it out loud, because that's definitely something that was really crazy. And especially when it came to like financial aid and stuff, there's so many opportunities for scholarships and grants. And that's something that now that I look back, it's not something that I worry about as much. So definitely beware of that with private schools. It's not as intense as it seems because a lot of students get aid.
I was I just like deciding colleges for me, I like nailed it down to like the last like week. Like I chose USD in like the last like 2 days before the deadline. It was really bad. My parents are really stressed about it because they're just like, Harrison, we don't know where you're going to go. And I'm just like, I don't know where I'm going to go either. So I was like nailing it down between it got from like 10 schools down to 5, then down to 2. And then I was like, well, now I just don't know which one to pick. I did, when ultimately deciding for USD, I kind of just weighed it as an engineer does, weighs pros and cons. But I did most of it for engineering, like from the engineering perspective. USD had such an amazing engineering program. We're ranked 13th in the nation for our engineering school. And for me, the academic side of things is something that was very important because just you're going to be learning as like engineering and like all other majors, you're learning for what job field you want to go into. So you have to nail these down as well. But then also when coming to USD, when I first visited, I got to talk to some professors as well, and they really wanted to get interested in me as not just like a senior in high school, but just like slowly growing into just my own person. So I think that's what really connected me and just like kind of nailed down my decision to USD, is having that kind of connection to the community on campus, but also how USD prides itself on its academics, but also having that great community and social aspect as well.
I think the biggest part for me, two main reasons were, like Harrison and other people have mentioned, were obviously the campus and the community sense at USD. Like those are two really big factors. But for me, what stood out the most was I felt that USC stepping on campus, I really felt at home. At the same time, I really felt that I can push myself at the university, whether that's through academics, or that's through meeting new people or finding new things that I want to be involved in. I felt that USC would really push me to really find who I am throughout these past 3 years and this upcoming year when I hit senior year next fall, which is kind of crazy. Because college goes by fast, and I wanted to make sure that I found a place where I can make the most of my time. And I really felt that USD was that place.
Wow. Beautiful words. Couldn't have said it better myself. Um, that's awesome. I hope that translates to a lot of students watching this as well, in whatever college they pick. But transitioning a little bit to actually being at USD and our journey in the different years we are and our experience so far, how has USD been different than you might have expected when you were first coming, or when you heard about it when you were applying?
I definitely had a high expectation coming in about professors because I had just heard so many stories of professors being so ready to get to know students and thoughtful. And it's just not what I had expected going to college, like I said before. So I was really interested to see how that would be. But they completely exceeded my expectations. My professors have been so amazing. I've made such close connection to just about all of them, to the point where my engineering professor texted me a few weeks ago and she was like, "Hey, how have you been in quarantine?" Like, they're just so above and beyond. They put an effort even before you do in a lot of cases. One story I always like to tell is my calc professor, my first semester finals week. I was so stressed because I had all of my finals within like 1 or 2 days. So I didn't get a chance to study for his final, and it was the night before. I emailed him at 9 p.m. and I was like, "I am so sorry, but I just got to doing the final practice study guide, and I literally cannot attempt any of these problems. I don't know what to do." And he told me to come to his office hours at 9 p.m. I stayed there till like 11:30, just doing every problem with him. And he was excited about it. He was so supportive, and that's just not what you would expect. But he knew I wasn't like a procrastinator and all that because I'd gone to his office hours every week. And that was definitely a really special experience that I just completely did not expect a professor to do for students.
Yeah, piggybacking on what Dakota said, definitely the expectations with the relationships between professors and students. I genuinely don't think I would have gotten through college without how just like supportive all of my professors were. My freshman year, I had a really bad head injury due to you know, issues with my sport, and I was falling so behind in economics. economics is hard. And I was behind. I was missing classes because I couldn't sit through classes. I was just behind in general. And my professor like stayed after class to make sure that I could pass the class. I ended up doing great. And it was all because he really helped me. And he was my advisor because I hadn't declared yet. And that has just like really traveled through my experience when I was taking Spanish 3 because you have this third 3-year language requirement and I can't speak Spanish. It's like embarrassing. And I showed my professor that I was like, hey, I really want to do well in this class, but I have done historically horrible in Spanish my whole life. I've been taking Spanish since kindergarten. I tested in the Spanish 1 in college. So, and he stayed after class every Monday for an hour and taught me the lessons that we were learning in the classes next so I could participate and get those points in order for me to succeed. And I have a great relationship with this professor still. He sees me on campus. He will give me hugs during tours. He'll just be like, hola, and just come over and give me hugs. And it's just so great. I have had professors stop me after class and been like, I am so proud of the work you've been putting in. My accounting professor gave me a hug when I did well on my test because he was just so proud of me. It's just like that relationship is amazing. And it's just really cool because these last 2 semesters have been online and the professors are still there for you. And that is incredibly hard as students to be there as well as professors. And they've just like exceeded my expectation. And my rant's done. I'm sorry.
For me, it's the same. The professors care about you. And I remember in high school, all the time hearing my high school teachers being like, when you get to college, they're not going to notice if you don't go to class and they're not going to take attendance and they're not going to check in on you. And all of my USD professors have done every single one of those things. And so the same way, I always think back to freshman year, my LLC class. And for anybody who doesn't know what LLC is, it's our Living Learning Communities. So it's that class you take freshman year. It's tied to where you live on campus. And without fail, this was a class that met twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday, and without fail he would spend the first 10 minutes, shout out Dr. Malekian, going around to everyone and asking them, like, he would make eye contact and ask, how are you today, what's going on in your life, what's new, what are you missing about home, and just it made us feel so much more comfortable. And we were all a little lost, we knew our way around campus, and then that was about as far as our college knowledge went at that point, fall semester. And so that just made a world of a difference. But also what was surprising to me was I feel like everyone I talk to knows somebody who goes to USD or somebody who's gone to USD, which is hilarious because I wasn't super familiar with USD before I applied. And so that's been fun. Also, it's fun, being like, no, USD, not SDSU, not UCSD, USD. But yeah, that was interesting too.
One thing I found like that I like didn't expect coming to USD, like aside from like professors helping you, is that it's not like how busy I would become, but how quickly I would become adapt to college. Like you become like maybe you have like 1 or 2 weeks of like you don't know what you're doing, but like for some weird reason, college life just clicked right away. Like USD has a great just transition process, I would call it, for you to like you're always busy, you're always doing something, but it's not like you're busy and it's like tiresome. You're busy because you're going out with friends to the SLP, you're going to a sports game, you're going to classes. Like you're starting to build your schedule and you're starting to be more enveloped into the college experience. I didn't think coming to college I would get so involved that fast. We have this great event called the All Call Bazaar, which all of us I think have gone to and collected like 20 or 50 different flyers from different clubs on campus. So it's just like you get involved so quickly, and that's how you really get enveloped into the college experience. I didn't expect that I would become that quickly involved into college right out of the gate at USD when I first came there.
I think I totally agree with Harrison. Outside of playing professors, because our professors are awesome, but USD is exceptionally good at integrating students to academics, living on campus, to living in San Diego. That starts off with our Ole weekend. That's like the freshman orientation that you see at most colleges, in which it's all first-year students who have really no clue who anyone is, all just set on the campus at the same time and forced to be friends with each other. And then, you meet your resident assistant or your RA, your scholastic assistant, who's your SA, who's a peer mentor, and you also meet your faculty advisor. So right off the bat, you already have those 3 key resources for you right away. At the same time, depending on where you live, you'll meet people left and right in different hallways, different rooms. And as you're walking around from place to place, you'll realize that all the first year students have the same struggles in figuring out how do they use dining dollars, meal plan, like all that stuff. And USD, is like Ashton said too, with the Alcohol Bazaar, that's one of the best events at USD because you can get all those free flyers, but at the same time, you can sign up for a bunch of different clubs and really find out what you want to do. And I always tell people the Alcohol Bazaar is fun because the more clubs you sign up for, the more free food you get at different meetings. But at the same time, you're meeting new people. You're really putting yourself out there. And USD has all those different resources. Like I said, like maybe something doesn't work for you, then there's 180 different clubs to look at. Maybe this major isn't for you. You can go talk to your academic advisor, your SA, who can maybe be on the right path because we have our awesome core curriculum with a bunch of different courses you can take. And USD really makes sure that, like Harrison said, our students can really adapt as soon as they can. And if it's a little harder, then we have those resources in place. And for me, I thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. Thank you all for sharing. I think those are all great points. And again, just seriously echoing all of them. I completely agree. And kind of going off of a little segue on Harrison's topic that you were talking about a couple minutes ago, I think we have such an amazing tight knit community, as you all have talked about, and how it's so welcoming and you can get involved right away, and it's so exciting. But I know a lot of students have a big fear when they come to college, especially if they didn't know anyone before. It's completely different than high school, of course, outside of their hometown, and it's a completely different environment. So, how did y'all make friends and get involved in different communities and kind of find which communities were for you? Because I know we're all involved in a lot of different things, very heavily involved on campus. But how did you kind of pick those ones, and how has it been for you?
So making friends in college. I would say I kind of first like I was really shy when I first came to college. Did not want to talk to people. I was traditional engineer in my bubble. Don't talk to me. I'm in my bubble. But it's like USD encourages a lot of communication and collaboration just across the board. A lot of your class sizes are smaller, so you get to know everyone in the class. So I've really started to become more out of my shell a lot more when just going through college. But for me, how I got my friends, how I've like gained my or be more integrated into the massive community is joining clubs. Like I joined water polo my freshman year because I was like, I did water polo in high school, so let's try it out in college. And now like I have tons of friends in water polo. I'm part of Greek life because I was like, Harrison, you got to step out of your box. So you got to join something. And I'm like, Greek life seems completely opposite. So now's the time to try it. But it doesn't mean that you have to join Greek life to have a social life on campus. Like my first friends that I got on campus were actually my hallmates. Don't underestimate how fast you can get friends with just having your door open for your freshman year. Like you get it like that instantly. Just like, hey, so and so, do you want to go down to the student life pavilion and get some food? Yeah, sure. It's so easy to get friends on campus. You just got to be open to it. So having your door open, just being welcoming, I think is a big step on finding friends on campus. And if you don't find those friends immediately, we have the Alcohol Bazaar. And that's like where you can find your own different group of people for a different community and different club. Like we have the Smile Club, where we do a lot of activities on campus to help promote student wellness. We have outdoor adventures. If you're an outdoor person like myself, you can go do camping trips to outdoor adventures. Like there's tons of different opportunities for you to go and meet friends on campus.
Definitely went that Alcala Bazaar route, and you sign up for a billion things. I always encourage that in any first years that I talk to, because you never know what club or organization that you don't think is gonna be your speed, and then it ends up being your favorite thing on campus. But also, Harrison saying, my first friends were also the people who were living in the same hall as me, my roommates then. but also my current roommate that I have now is a senior. I met her the first day of classes freshman year. We just happened to sit next to each other in general chemistry, both little lost souls. And then now we're the best friends, best of friends now. And then also, I think Harrison kind of touched on this, but I chose to get involved at first in ways that were familiar to me. So like I joined ambassadors because I did similar work in my high school back home. And so that was like a little taste of home, but in San Diego. And then I started working with challenge myself. Okay, this is my familiar place. I need to branch out and go jump in this pool over here and try this thing. So yeah, just being very open. You meet a lot of people on campus.
Similar with Elena, I joined clubs for things that I was used to. So for a jiu-jitsu team, I did that because I've been doing martial arts since I was 4. So I was like, okay, that's something similar. I'll do that. It'll keep me in shape as long as I go to the gym. But then ambassadors wasn't like a thing that jumped out to me because I've always been volunteering. I always had a lot of volunteering opportunities in high school. And then I was like, well, this is like volunteering in a sense, but it's like I was never on ASB or anything. So I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. And then 3 years later, I'm the vice president of SOAR. We've planned a lot of things for USD, and it's a great way to give back to community and also to build a community because of the amount of people you see on your day-to-day life when you're volunteering and helping out.
I definitely agree with all of those things. One thing that I think I didn't realize would be so important is, like I may have said before, I lived in Founders, which is more of a communal style living. And I am very surprised by how many friends I made by simply like walking down the hall to go to my sink or the bathroom. Like you run into so many people that it's just so random, but really meaningful friendships. So I definitely recommend going to the Alcala Bazaar and joining any club, but a really, really easy way to make friends is through the communal living style for sure.
That was another thing I forgot. Hall council, that's a good thing your freshman year. I know Tony was on Camp Fountain's hall council. I worked with him a couple of times. I was on Maher's hall council, but that's a good thing for your freshman housing because that's basically ASB, but for your dorm. So you have hosting events for there. They do like little movie nights. I know we did a winter formal for our freshman year. And then we also set up trick-or-treating in Maher. So that was a good thing for us on our October night. But yeah.
I would
I was a little luckier.
No,
Go
Tony.
ahead, Zoe.
No, Tony.
Okay. I was a little luckier coming in because I had some friends from high school that are also going to USD, but I didn't want to like rely on them to be my only like foremost social contact. But I think like what Dakota and Harrison said. So I mean, communal founders are the 2 most traditional communal style living at USD. And so for me, if I can map out all the friends I made freshman year who are in my fantasy league right now, looking back, it's a zigzag in Camino, all up and down the hallway. And I remember one of my first friends, I literally, me and my roommate were walking around the dorms on moving day. I literally walked into the room and said, "Hey, I'm Tony. Nice to meet you. I'm like so-and-so, rooms down." And that's really such a great thing about college, no matter where you go, USC, anywhere else. You really just have to take that chance and, leave your door open or knock on someone else's door. And like Harrison said, I'll be like, "Oh, you want to go down to SLP to grab dinner? Do you want to go maybe to the beach? Do you want to go on a stay at a place like fall?" So especially as freshmen, no one has any clue what they're doing. And one thing people always tend to forget is that everyone who's a freshman is in the same situation as you are, in which most people don't have any friends and everyone wants to make friends at the same time. And so, like I said earlier, with like the integration thing, USC has really good at just fostering that community.
All right. So the first way I made friends at USD was I did a pre-orientation retreat. I don't know if they do those anymore, but we do. Okay, yeah, we still do those. They're super fun. I actually met a lot of people at those retreats, and it's really fun. We went hiking, we did a lot of like swimming in the desert, and you came back like and you did it a week before school started, and then you came back and you kind of already had like some people that you knew, so you could like link up with them to go to the SLP, and then they would bring their roommates and then you would bring your roommates, and then it would just be like this like great like collaboration of people just coming together. And I just remember going into the Maher the Jesus room, which is where we would all hang out, and everyone would just be around there, and I'm like, this is awesome. There's like 30-40 people just chilling in here having no idea what's going on. And I think you just really have to be open to like meeting tons of new people. I think that's really how I made a lot of my friends. Like, I know I have met people in pre-orientation that I wasn't close with freshman, sophomore year, and now they're like very close to me. And we always laugh like, oh, do you remember Prio? Like, do you remember when we went swimming together when we were just starting college? I'm like, yes. Just being open to studying with different people. The first class I ever had at USD, I sat by one of my friends that I talk to every day now, just like Elena. Like, it's everybody's just so really welcoming and no one really knows what's going on. It is really, really easy to just keep your door open and talk to people because that's it. Like, that's the key. We gave you the secret.
I love that. I'm like, college is so cool because it's like, when else are you going to be around so many people your age that are so cool, and as well as professors, obviously, and everything, and have access to all of these resources. And um, I love what y'all are saying about just being open and pushing yourself to go out of your comfort zone and walk with someone to the SLP for dinner, ask them on a Zoom coffee date since we're virtual now, like knock on their door on campus. Like, everyone's feeling the same about making new friends and getting acclimated to college. So I think that really brought me together with a lot of people at first.
And there's always going to be like those people that you always have classes with. Madonna.
Yeah, literally.
Always have class together, and that's always just so fun to like have a familiar face. And then when we were in person, we'd always study together and hang out, and it was fun. So definitely I always made friends in class. That's how I made my friends.
Exactly. Exactly. So, kind of our final question going off of that, which actually probably should have asked this earlier, kind of a little out of order there. That's okay. Um, how did you all choose your major and kind of what you're interested and passionate about? Because I know for me, I started off in science. I always tell this story. I was for sure gonna do behavioral neuroscience, like I was sure of it. And then I took, the classes that you need to take for the major, and I was like, never mind. So, and then I eventually got to explore a lot of different fields and find what I'm really passionate about. So, how did y'all find that for you?
See, I went in interested in BN. And I think what's great is that at USD you have the first like 2 years of your time at USD to just explore different classes and different majors. So I went in, but I didn't declare right away. I was like, this sounds interesting. And I just kind of took those classes. But then there are also, I think I mentioned this earlier, but there are a ton of classes that are open to use. Like that USD admission isn't just to a specific school on campus, it's to all of the schools on campus. And so that was useful for me in helping nail down exactly what I wanted to study because it's such a big decision at any stage. So yeah, I went in with a little bit of an idea, but I definitely used that time that we had there to kind of explore different majors.
I knew coming in that I wanted to study econ. I know Zoe said she didn't have fun in her either was her micro or macro. So I
It
know
was
for
both.
certain, like, so I mean, for me, I know econ is not necessarily the most fun subject for most people. But I remember watching like The Big Short in high school. And I was like, wow, this stuff's pretty interesting. And like I'm a nerd for all that economic theory stuff. Like I'm home right now in Santa Clara and I have a bunch of books that I always read. But I decided to add accounting like this past fall, and it was really just on a whim because I remember sophomore year, like Zoe said, my first accounting class, like everyone hates accounting at first, or most people do. And I remember my first accounting class, I was sitting there, I was like, wow, accounting sucks. Like everyone who's in the accounting major are probably just like people who are antisocial and for some reason love numbers so much that they just do this all day. And then my spring sophomore year, I took a second accounting class that all business majors have to take. I was like, wow, I kind of stuff, and it seems kind of cool now. And then as I joined my business fraternity, I met a bunch of accounting majors. I was like, wow, these people are social. They seem to know what they're doing with their lives. I think this is something that's a smart way for me to go. So then, like the whole route of just going from a subject that I hated the most to something that I really like now, that really helped out. And the professors too. I think we touched on it a lot earlier, but the accounting professors were all really cool because they had industry experience in fields that I potentially want to go in the future. And they made the classes 10 times more meaningful because they're like, yeah, this stuff's in the textbook, but this is also stuff that I actually did when I worked at X and Y company. And so for me, it made it 10 times more interesting. And I can actually see myself doing that stuff later in the future.
Speaking about numbers, for someone who loves numbers as an engineer, when I first came to USD, I was an ambitious freshman. I originally was going to be a double major in mechanical engineering and architecture. For those who do not know, that is both a 5-year program slammed together for both of them. So I was like, wow, looking at it, I was like, I'm not gonna, like, college should not be that long. And then I took a couple of architecture classes, and I'm just like, that's great and all, but not my cup of tea. Took engineering classes, and I'm just like, that's the way I gotta go. So for me, mechanical engineering fell into that role, especially because with engineering majors, like, you can go the first couple classes in the engineering school, it's more of just broad general engineering so that you don't have to pick right away. Once you figure out what you want to go into, then once you declare your sophomore year, that's how you pick. But for me, it always came down to, especially here at USD, like, having that tangible thing. Like, I like making things. I like making, developing, crafting, and seeing it actually produced. That's why I like doing engineering rather than physics or mathematics, because I can actually build and see create something. And at USD too, we have a full machine shop and wood shop. So you could take your project that you didn't completely create it if you want to, and fully develop, craft it, and show it off for the rest of the world. I feel like that's something that really kind of drew me into the mechanical engineering major as a whole.
I think I am, as Madonna says, one of the queens of changing their major. I have changed my major 4 times. um, and that was because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I think it was because I was just so interested in so many different things and I could see myself doing so many different things. And that's one of the reasons why I did choose USD. I said that earlier. It's because you really have that opportunity to, explore that. But one of the really great things about USD was our career development center. I went in there and they have career counselors there for every step of the way. They put me with someone that specializes in helping kids find what they really want to do. I did personality tests. I did so many tests and career explorations. They sent me different people's names to talk about different career paths. And I was really interested in arts for such a long time, English, but I did really like strategy, and every class that I had that had to do with like problem solving, I really loved. And they were like, why don't you do marketing? Because there's so much strategy there to get people to want to buy your product, buy your service. But then there's also this creative aspect to it as well that you can incorporate. And I went to this one seminar called Finding Your Passions in Your Career. And I always wanted to be a writer. And they said, well, why don't you, instead of just focusing on being a writer, find aspects of a job where you can really explore your passion for that? And I found that most of my passions really lined up with marketing. So that's what I have done throughout everything. I was a finance major and then realized I didn't have anything in finance I wasn't really passionate about. I was a real estate major. I didn't really find anything passionate about that either. And then when I finally found marketing, I was like, I feel like I could be passionate about this. And then adding on that communication studies, I'm really interested in how people communicate and how crisis is solved and everything like that. So I really just tried and look for like what I'm passionate about and like what jobs I could do in order to like do those passions indirectly, if that makes sense.
I also came into USD knowing what I wanted to do. I've been wanting to be a veterinarian since I was 10 years old, so hence the pre-vet track. But at the same time, I chose bio because I got most of the prerequisites out of the way for vet school, so it was a little bit easier when I go to grad school. But at the same time, business admin was more of like a fun minor for me. Yeah, it's fun because some of the classes, but overall, it's if I wanted to open up my own practice one day, I need to know the business side. That way I can all do my own myself. And then chemistry was also like a little fun one because I just needed one extra chem class, but it's not like an easy chem class. It's one of the upper divisions. So, it's just there for fun, as everything is in college.
I definitely had an interesting idea going into college. I'm an obsessive planner, so I really needed to know what I was going to do every year in high school, even though it's not what I would end up doing. I just needed a plan. So I knew that I loved math and science, but I don't like gruesome things. I don't like poor hygiene. So doctor, I don't think that's for me, but I still love those subjects and definitely wanted to be studying something around that. So USD has an amazing program that no other school that I looked at had, where you can study engineering and then have a concentration in business, like medicine, law, anything you want. And you can study engineering and then also have concentration courses in, for example, I'm doing business, so business admin, and you would eventually go into a career in business. And this is definitely something that I love about USD, and one of the main reasons I chose USD, because I tend to I don't get bored easily, but I always kind of worry that I'll just completely lose interest in what I'm planning on doing, and that'll just wreck everything. So I love how USD has this program where you can study engineering, but essentially go anywhere from there. And you don't really take your concentration courses until the last 2 years anyways, at least in my case, when I look at my 4-year plan. So that's definitely something that attracted me to this school and really just helps me keep my stress level down. I'm going to start looking into career options this year, and it helps me not stay stressed about it for sure.
I love that. And I love how we're all doing such different things. And I think it's important to let people know that it's okay if you don't know what you want to do at first. We're 18 coming into college, we shouldn't have to know exactly what we want to do for our whole life. So, and that's what college is for, exploring and finding what you're really passionate about. So I love that. So to end, I thought it would be really fun to do a quick little game of rapid fire questions, if that's okay with everyone.
I'm so nervous.
It's really good. It's gonna be good and fun. So just as fast as you can, anyone can answer, and give your little description as well. Okay. So, favorite USD campus tradition?
Christmas, anything Christmas. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, the tree is just so beautiful. You have a nice feast at the SLP. It's a magical time.
Mine deals with the SLP. Whenever a plate breaks in SLP, it's like a little tradition to clap your hands whenever one does. So it'll be super quiet sometimes when you're eating, and you just a plate crash, and then just everybody just slowly starts clapping, and it gets super loud. But it's always, yeah, it's good.
Avocado Fest. They really come up. They're creative at USD, I will say. They come up with so many ideas about avocados.
Avocado Fest is so good, and also they also have Strawberry Fest in I think in the spring as well. When we talk about free food, Avocado Fest and Strawberry Fest are the best to get free food. They're just so good.
Do you remember they did Apple Fest once?
Apple Fest was so good though.
Apple Fest was good.
I had this weird apple slaw on a taco, and I was like, wow.
I remember the apple slaw on the taco.
I'm telling you,
that was amazing.
You don't when you go into those festivals, you don't expect what food they make up. One year I had avocado ice cream, and I'm like, wow, this changed my life. It doesn't sound right, but it works. It's one of those things. But it's just those festivals are great.
USD just does food right. Everything just tastes so good.
Also, if you can't tell, food is one of our favorite topics to discuss at USD.
We're getting really passionate about the fests that we
Oh, speaking of food, Favorite on-campus eatery. This is really controversial. We had a poll yesterday on our Instagram between Bert's and La Paloma. So what's your favorite on-campus eatery and why?
I go Birds. Paloma's good because it has the most options. Okay, it has like what the Mongolian barbecue, all day breakfast, salad bar. I go Birds because it has the best view. As you can sit on the backside, and you can see the whole Mission Bay. There's also a really good barbecue grill.
For
Okay.
breakfast? Okay, you can go, Zoe.
Paloma, I'm sorry. There's like no. The view's great, but you can just take your food from Paloma and walk to the Garden of the Sky or the sea, and you got a view. So the Mongolian barbecue for the win.
For me, it's La Paloma for breakfast, but for lunch, it's the SLP just because of the special. I've had lobster tail, I've had tri-tip rib, I've had steak, I've had so many different things, big pasta, like shrimp and everything. It's so good. So that's the only thing that makes SLP good for me for lunch. It's just the specials.
See, for me, like SLP is great. Like the Greek Station SLP is great. But I gotta agree with Tony here. Burt's is the best place. For me, okay, efficiency runs all. Because like the lines at La Paloma are way too long. If you hit it at the wrong time, unless you're gonna eat lunch at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and at that point, it's not lunch anymore; it's a snack. And then like, and then you go to SLP's great. Like the specials are really good, but they're also like sometimes you don't like the specials, so it's like kind of hit and miss. But in my opinion, Burt's is the best just because they have that outdoor barbecue grill. They also have a sushi station, and the poke bowls are great too. So overall, I think Burt's has a whole package.
I have
Yeah,
to agree with Zoe. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Breakfast, just everything about La Paloma. Like,
Yes, Dakota.
and they have a nice view, so let's not forget the view there. But also, like, aromas, just because I always see everyone and we end up like all sitting together, even though that happens other places, but it's like every time you go to aromas, for me, I see my friends and we all just happen to like study together or eat together.
I also have to go Paloma because you have your options. You can just walk behind KBJ and then you can get the Garden Sea. But also the lines, you can stand in them or you can just get the Get app and you order your food ahead of time. And I never had to wait in the line last year at Paloma. I would just schedule it to be ready before I got out of whatever class was right before my lunch break. And that's how you bypass all the lines that way.
But have you guys had the chicken pesto sandwich at Turmeric? That sandwich
The
is
Torero
everything.
Club.
What?
The Torero Club is the best one.
I
Yeah,
haven't
the
tried
club
that,
always hits.
but the
Have-
chicken pesto is so good.
Have you guys had the Torero to go to California burrito though? That's really good. Or the carne asada fries.
Their
Oh,
fries
the
are
fries
good.
have
They always
too much.
pack it.
No, the fries get too soggy sometimes. I don't like the fries too much.
You got to get them at the right time, then, Tony. You got to get them at the right time.
Bottom line is we love food, essentially all food. We don't discriminate. But Birds for the win, but it's okay. Anyways, favorite study space on or off campus?
On campus, I always go to the tables outside Manchester Hall where our admissions office and the career development center are, just because like they have the umbrellas, so that if you're outside, you don't have to deal with the sun. At the same time, if you're bored, you can people watch, and there's always something interesting happening on the paseo. Sometimes people bring their dogs, or there was one time, I don't know why, but some people were doing like backflips and stuff and filming it on a drone. So I don't know, that's my favorite spot. I always find a way to just find something to do there.
For me, it has to be the tables at like the second level of the SLP, just because I don't get as distracted there because I don't see as many people that I would like sit down and have a conversation with. Like at Aromas, I feel like I talk too much, but there it's like nice and quiet, but you still see people. It's a nice balance.
So my old spot used to be the ASML ideation space in the engineering building because it had like a bunch of moving tables, a bunch of moving whiteboards, great space. A lot of students don't really use it besides engineering students because most other majors don't enter into the engineering building. It's kind of a weird thing. But recently, the Learning Commons is the way to go. It's a new building right behind Copley Library. Amazing study spaces. Highly recommend if you do. Really quiet, really nice to study into. But off campus, I would recommend go to a coffee shop. I personally love going to coffee shops just to study. Obviously, it's not like hardcore final studying, but like get some homework done. I go to Lestat's up in Hillcrest. I highly recommend it just because you can get a cup of coffee and then you can just sit, read a book, study a little bit. It's just, and hang out with friends. It's an awesome time to do that.
See, I'm a library girl. I love the Harry Potter reading room. I know that's not the real name, the Mother Rosalie reading room, but I love the Harry Potter room. I think that was I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Huge. They're coming out with like a new Harry Potter game on the Xbox and PlayStation. I'm buying it just for that. And I walked in there and I was like, this is awesome. I'm studying here all the time. And I have. And since it's been closed, everyone's sleeping on the nursing building because literally no one's ever in there. And they have like huge rooms just open and no one's in there except maybe nurses, but they're not always in there. And there's like big whiteboards and everything. 10 out of 10.
What house? Not to get off topic, but what house?
So I'm a Slytherin. I've been sorted into Slytherin since I was in 6th grade when Pottermore came out, and I cried, and now I've accepted it. I wanted to be Ravenclaw, but I'm a Slytherin, and every year I take it, and I'm still a Slytherin. So, yay!
Yeah, for me, it's also the Harry Potter room. I'm usually on the second floor because I have my own table with a little lamp. I'll just turn it on. Ravenclaw house. But then when I'm not in the Harry Potter room, I'm usually in the law library when I can be, because they have like nice little cubicles you can just sit in, and it's like just you. You have your own outlets, so your phone, your charger, you can use anything your laptop won't die on you. And it's usually nice and quiet. It's not that loud in there.
Yeah, the law library. The law students have it good in there.
You do. The silence is terrifying, but it hits different when you really need to grind.
Study tip 2, if like you need a space to like, because for me, I like writing stuff on whiteboards just because I want to. Every USD student can reserve a room. So like after classes are done, you could reserve a room, or you could just commandeer a room in a classroom and just take a space and just write out your entire equation on a whiteboard, or so on and so forth. Like I did that all the time my freshman and sophomore year when I lived on campus, just because I needed a big whiteboard to do a giant math problem, and I did not want to do it on paper.
Yeah, it's a good study tip. Whenever we had finals, we'd get groups in our classes and we'd go get a room. So since I have a lot of science classes, we'd always get rooms in Shiley, and we just have the huge whiteboards that slide, and we'd all take a board and like, okay, you take this unit, I'll take this unit. We write down like what's on the unit, and then we'll like quiz each other and study. So that's a good way to study too.
There's nothing like a big study group grinding at 11 o'clock. This is the right answer. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Like, there is nothing better than that. It is so fun, and it's a great way to make friends.
I also really like the law library, but there's also this one classroom in Camino. I won't say the classroom number, partly because I can't think of it right now, but also because it's this fun little scavenger hunt. But the entire wall is a dry erase wall. And so definitely spent a lot of time in that room freshman year because I lived in Founders, right across the way. But that's great too, especially when you want to write out long units, like David was saying. The entire wall, dry erase, it's beautiful.
I completely agree. Love that. And forever jealous of engineers with all the whiteboards. We need that in business school. But so to close it out, final question. So once again, our application, everyone get it in. It's due on Tuesday. You still have time, trust me. What in one breath, your words of wisdom for students that are about to submit their college applications? Final advice.
Whatever's meant to happen will happen, so don't stress.
Remember to breathe and take time to decompress from all of the application stress right after they're all submitted. And then just be open to things changing because they're bound to, and it's okay.
I would say my word of advice for anyone who's applying to college is click submit. Feel like do your submit, like get your submission. Like obviously people have these things called buyer's remorse, but you have that gut feeling for a reason. And once you have that decision made, don't worry about like you made that decision for a reason. Like you know it, you have that gut feeling. Stick with it. You will be fine, and you will find your place.
Just to piggyback off Harrison, don't be afraid to take chances and go with your gut. And just always remember to keep an open mind with the whole process because it's a long, dragged out process and you're going to get tired by the end of it. But also, like Dakota said, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be and it's all going to work out in the end.
I would say just enjoy it. I want to go back and relive my college experience already. Um and just enjoy yourself, like enjoy where you are in the process. Don't look at other people. And I remember looking at people be like, oh, they know where they want to go, or they've already been accepted and put down their down deposit for housing. That's not your journey. So just like be in the moment, accept where you are, and what's going to happen is going to happen. And just enjoy it. That's all I got to say. I've been telling my brother that. Just chill and let it ride. Life works out.
For the application process, I'd say, it is what it will be. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Take it easy, take a breath, calm down. And then when you get into college, don't sleep on naps. Naps are very, very helpful. Because when I first came into college, I was like, no, I'm going to be efficient. I'm not going to take naps. And then I was like, you know what? An nap or two won't hurt. And it actually did help.
Naps are key to college. That's it. Anything you get from this video, nap.
The more naps you take, the longer you can stay up to study too.
Facts only. Thank you all so much for being here and giving us your time, sharing us all your amazing words and wisdom. I really appreciate y'all so much. And thank you all for watching. And we hope it inspired you to press submit on your application because you got this and it's gonna all work out and be fine. And you should be really proud of yourself. So we'll catch you all on the next episode. Thank you for tuning into the first one ever. And we'll see you next time. Oh, another thing, make sure to DM us if you want to reach out to any of the students here. Slide into our DMs, slide into their DMs if you find them, or reach out to them on the Turo Ambassador Network as well. But besides that, we'll catch you all next time.